So this is the second half of part 5 of the Spiritual Tools Intuition, and it just picks up right where the first half of it left off at. Yeah. So you had what we would like to suggest is you take a few moments and think about the dream you were getting ready to tell us, and ask yourself or decide what was the nature of that dream. Was it a dream that has a message from your unconscious that you should theme, or was it a actual encounter in spirit, or was it from a past life? Which one of these 3 categories would you put that next dream in?
I have a feeling that was encounter in spirit.
Okay. Now, what we want to tell you is it's a dream you should theme. Okay?
Should theme, okay.
Yeah, and we don't want to, discourage you so what we're going to show you is, you see, the dream did not have these same guide people appearing, and it wasn't set in a time in history that's past. It was more of a modern day dream. We know you haven't told us the dream yet. It was more like sort of a modern day dream with some odd figures and some odd things happening. And that's the way the unconscious works. But this is a very essential dream for you to theme. We have described to you before that certain events and dreams happen in a series, and this is the first dream for you to theme after these very important breakthroughs in your consciousness. So we would like to listen to your comments, or if you want to argue or try to tell us why you think this was a spiritual encounter.
You know what? I think you are correct, because that's what I started doing. I was actually theming.
Right.
And I think I know what it's all about. It's a thing about me and my past relationship with my ex-husband.
Not just with him, but with men that have been, men you've been interested in, or men that you've dated, or so it's the way you relate to potential sexual partners. Or do you understand? In other words, it's not about you and your father, it's about you and men. So which includes your ex-husband. Do you understand?
Okay, so that's the way I relate to men.
In other words,
yeah, it's not only about. See, the dream is actually about you.
See, the dream.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so the dream's not about your ex-husband, it's about you in relationship to men that you could date or love or marry. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what it's doing is it's delivering to you an important message about you relating, how you used to relate. Correct? So we're just going to come back and say the theme of the dream is not about your ex-husband, it's about how you related to him.
Yeah, I know it's all about me. All people who were there. It's a message about me.
But we're going to insist that when you theme, you find a verb, it's about you in relating. Do you understand?
Okay. I have to think about it.
There's nothing to consider with this. We're saying that it was about the way you related to him.
Yeah.
You see, it wasn't about him, it wasn't about you, it was about the way you related. Now do you understand why this point is important? We're going to give you a little lesson. What we're talking about is that, you see, in a lot of situations in life, it makes no difference who you are. What's important on earth is how you behave. And that's why theming is so important, because it's about what you're doing in the dream world. And so it's important that you come into a comprehension. Again, the dream was not about him, it was not about you, it was about you relating to him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I just can't figure it out. What was the message, how I was relating to him?
We'll talk about that in just a second. What we're hopefully trying to help you understand is how to more carefully or more clearly make a bridge between your dreaming and like the recent technique we've been teaching you in the dance, okay?
Okay.
And what we're describing is, if the dream is about how you relate to the opposite sex, then you can look at that dream from your future, how it might affect your future, how that way of relating affected your past, and how you might learn to quiet the self, and then in relationship learn how to be and ask for what you need and nothing else. So suddenly a dream that you're interpreting as being about your ex-husband, you now see it's about you, and you now have 4 different ways to try to help understand that this dream is talking about your past, your future. You're clearing your mind and learning to ask for what you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you want to tell us the dream, then we'll joke with you a little bit, and we'll help you interpret it.
Because I don't know how to interpret. I don't know how I was relating to it. The dream was that my ex-husband was there, MJ was there,
And who?
and I was there. MJ?
Who is MJ?
MJ, the soul who passed away.
Yeah, right. We just got it. Okay. Yeah, we understand.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And my ex-husband was very sad. He was either sitting or kneeling, I don't remember. And he was crying. He was really sad. And he said that I was hoping to have a child next, and this is it. This is it. And I just took his head and I hugged him on my stomach like a mom would hug a child.
Right.
And MJ was in bed, and he got up, looked, and he turned around or left. But I looked from my vision sight, and so I know in relationship with my ex-husband that I was afraid to have children with him. I didn't trust him. And is that in the future, if I meet somebody, if I would have the same fears?
So, again, we're going to remind you of some of the basic ideas about how the unconscious delivers messages to the conscious mind. So you look for the major action, and that in this situation, the major action is you relating with other people, or you relating with men, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the scary part is that it was not your ex-husband that you were holding the head of. It was the part of you that got hurt in that relationship. You understand, that's what your ex-husband represents, is that part of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you see, the you in the dream has grown big enough to reach out to that part of yourself that is sad, that relationship was not stable enough, or you would have enjoyed remaining married, or, having a child. But the relationship, you chose, correctly to leave it, because you recognized that. But some part of the self was still hurt or still confused about how did that all happen. Now, this the other man that you dreamed of, that part of yourself, was sort of looking for what we, if we borrow Dale's language, is MJ was sort of a grief replacement, sort of inner romance, correct?
Grief replacement in a romance. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so you see, if you, through the work you've been doing, and we've been helping you quite a bit, is that some part of you has now grown big enough to actually re-grieve your first marriage failure, and to understand very clearly how that happened, and that causes fantasy hopes to get up and leave.
Okay.
Because if you remember, there were fantasy hopes when you got married the first time. Afterwards, for a long time, you had fantasy hopes.
Yeah.
And by healing some part of the self that was disappointed and hurt, then it actually causes there to be more clarity in what you might need. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so that part of yourself was disgusted that you're getting healthier. So again, this was part of a longer session. This person has been a student of dreaming for a while, and the type of dreaming that we teach both gradually trains, but also forces the mind to change the way it views oneself in relationship to your life on Earth. And so if we were a little bit abrupt or rough with her a couple times, it's because she's not been applying quite diligently all of the rules. But this should be a major breakthrough. It would be easier for her, both in her meditative life, in her waking life, and able to gain more information to see how the dreamer self comes to assist those that are truly working. So we thank you for your time.